Hello, this is Abby Mickey, host of the Wheel Talk podcast, and I'm here to convince you to sign up for membership for escapecollective.com. Now, the reason that this is important is because we are a membership-based media model, and that means that we are not beholden to sponsors, but it does come down to you, the members of escapecollective.com. Escape Collective is your hub for all things cycling. There's just new stuff churning out every day, and the members of the Escape Collective make it possible. So thank you to everyone who's signed up. And please, if you enjoy what we do, then, put your money where your ears are and sign up, become a member. You can become a member at escapecollective.com/join. That's escapecollective.com/join. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Escape Collective Tour Daily. I'm Kaylee Fretz. I'm here with Ian Trellor and Johnny Long. Johnny is rocking out across the table. What are you singing to?
We are at Bar La Nat in Villefranche, and they are playing Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
Fantastic. I don't think the listeners out there will be able to hear it, unfortunately for you, but we can hear it, and it's pumping us up.
It is. There's also a man having a beer near us. There is a variation of haircuts nearby, which some people are too close, so I won't describe them in case they speak English.
There was a man that walked down the street before with a little Bluetooth speaker that was just blasting some Europop, just walking along listening
with very
to his
skinny
music.
legs.
It was great.
Are the vibes off in Villefranche?
Je pense.
I think the vibes might be off, which is fine. We had a nice Italian for dinner.
We had a superb
surprisingly
Italian,
nice for
really
this
nice
high street.
meal. Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. We haven't spent a whole lot of time in the middle of nowhere in this Tour de France.
Do you reckon this is the first podcast to ever be recorded in this town? I think it might be. Definitely at this bar.
With the looks that we're getting, I think it might be.
I feel like the tour has come here before.
Yes, I recognise this place.
No.
No?
No. 1984, Laurent Fignon.
That's where I know it from.
Yeah.
The time trial in Villefranche.
Maybe it was Dauphiné, but please let's not research that right now.
No, 1984 Tour de France. A 51-kilometer time trial from Villers-Morgon and Villefranche-sur-Saône.
See, when people on Twitter these days complain about quote-unquote boring Tour de France stages, have they ever sat through a 50-kilometer long time trial?
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly, actually. We haven't had one of those in a while. Anyway, we've once again gotten pretty far into this podcast without mentioning the winner of the bike race. It was quite exciting stage today. Quite a lot going on. Big breakaway day. We knew this would be a breakaway day going in. Everybody I spoke to this morning was like, it's a breakaway day. You ask, are you going to get in the breakaway? And they're like, I would like to. I don't know if I can. And that turned out to be the case for a lot of them. However, at the end of 3 hours and 51 minutes crossing the line in Belleville-en-Beaujolais, Yann Izagirre, Cofidis' second stage win.
And Spain's
second stage win of this Tour de France.
The Basque Country's second stage winner.
What's going on?
So Spain hadn't won one in 5 years, and Cofidis hadn't won one since the Obama presidency.
2008.
No, wait. Got ourselves
There's
a Bush
not a sticking
boy.
point to get stuck on. Since the financial crash?
Yeah.
No.
There we go.
Okay.
Right around then. We're confused at this point. Anyway, let's talk about the stage a little bit. Big breakaway finally gets up the road, but before that ever happened, there were tons and tons of moves. There were also lots of moves from, I should say moves. Our two key protagonists, Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogačar, keep finding themselves in these breakaways, partly because they're so good and they follow each other around and they accidentally get in these breaks. But what that does is it kind of freaks everybody else out, and it messes with these moves because obviously if they are in the move, it's no longer a breakaway. That is now like the peloton, right? And it messes with all the riders trying to get off the front. We saw, 20 different iterations of a break today over the course of the first, was it 90K that it took to finally split? As expected, when it did finally go, it was a bunch of really, really strong riders. So we had Izagirre, obviously, Matteo Jorgensen.
Second on the stage. Matteo Jorgensen.
And
well done.
Thank you.
Our young American, Matteo Jorgensen.
Ireland's third favourite son.
Ireland's third favorite son. He was devastated
at
the finish line. I think he was the strongest one in the group. I believe, Ian, you spoke to
Thibaut?
No, I spoke to Tobias Johannesson,
who was also in the breakaway, who said that
he also thought that
Matteo was the
strongest. Yeah. He was very much of the opinion that Matteo was the strongest, and he even said that that he would understand if Matteo was a little bit pissed off as a result.
Yeah, he was. The sort of TV cameras surrounded him. I was kind of standing, watching, taking in the vibe that was coming off of him. In addition to, I caught him briefly afterward. Yeah, he was sad. He was like sad. He was sort of sitting there. I think maybe it was Gregor that asked the sort of like, oh, well, can you take some positives from this? Are you satisfied with your form at least? And he was like, no, I'm not satisfied with anything. Like I'm just sad and angry, and I have now nearly won 2 tour stages, and I have won neither of them. And I think that we're kind of getting echoes of like Fred Wright last year, where just could not get over the line first. And unfortunately for him, and this is kind of, I think, what's making him so sad and why he was in a much worse mood today at the finish than he was on the Puy de Dôme, where obviously he got caught in sort of right in the finale, is in that case, he kind of felt like he had done everything he could. In fact, he told me that this morning when we caught up. He's like, yeah, like I spent sort of day ruminating on it. I've kind of decided I did absolutely everything I could have done correctly, and so at that point you just have to accept.
Exercise contest.
Yeah, you have to accept the result. Whereas today, 1, I think he hadn't fully processed it yet. 2, he, I think, felt like he could have won today with some different tactics, some different luck. He feels like he could have / should have won today, and he's looking ahead at the remainder of the race. And today was the day for him. It was the absolute best day. He's a bigger rider, so he's not going to climb as well as some of the little tiny whippet guys. And that's what he said. He says, I'm kind of too big for some of these bigger days that are also going to be break days. And so he was sort of just, I don't know, despondent, really, that today was his chance, potentially his last chance, and it didn't work out.
And Cofidis, I think, also played it quite well tactically because they had 2 in the break. They had Guillaume Martin. They also had Jon Izagirre. So Tobias Johannesson from Uno X said that was an absolute factor in why Matteo Jorgensen wasn't able to get up the road.
Well, and I guess part of Jorgensen's sort of reaction is that next year he's supposedly going to Jumbo-Visma, where he will be put to work and won't necessarily get as many chances to race for stages. In particular, well, I mean, Tiege Benoot got his chance today, but that's like his one chance.
Yeah.
This race, don't remember him doing it last year. So you see the days ticking down. We won't get freedom.
I did. So I caught up with Jorgensen this morning and asked him a whole bunch of questions. Some of it was for some feature pieces. Some was just to see how he's doing. And the last thing I asked him, because you kind of have to ask him right now, is, we heard you're going to Jumbo. Can you comment? And he kind of gave me a little mini smile and said, nope. And it's not a confirmation, obviously. But that sounds like it's pretty far along. Yeah. They can't technically announce anything till August 1st due to rules. But yeah, that does sound like it's happening. And for better or for worse, right? Like he's talked a whole bunch about how, frankly, like Movistar has not really supported him in the ways that you would expect for a pro cyclist if you sort of listen to what Jorgensen is saying. Jumbo-Visma will definitely support him. He will probably become a better rider going to Jumbo-Visma, but the opportunities will diminish dramatically. Although, like on the same token there, the other thing he said this morning was that they came in with Plan A, which was Enric Mas, who crashed out in stage 1. All of a sudden, Movistar had to shift what they were doing, and so this could have been a Tour de France where he didn't have much opportunity either.
Yeah,
if he was working for Mas, then he's sitting with Mas all day today.
Even though he's a different type of rider, I imagine he'll have a sort of Christophe Laporte-esque sort of advancement of his ability, where you just, by being on like one of the top teams, you go up a few levels. But then that also doesn't necessarily mean that you don't get chances at races. You know, Christophe Laporte has won more at Jumbo-Visma than he ever would have at Cofidis, and he still put to work a lot, so it can end up better.
Yeah. Others in the group today, we mentioned Tej Benoot. We mentioned Johannesson from Uno X. We mentioned Guillaume Martin, Dylan Toons.
He dropped off a bit.
Ruben Guerrero. So Jorgensen actually did have a teammate in there with him. Victor Kampenaerts was up there doing his thing.
He always is.
Was he?
Yep.
Yeah? Oh, he was.
Oh, he was.
Sorry, Victor.
Dylan Turns was complaining about a sore back at the end.
Yeah, he looked uncomfortable. Yeah.
So much so that one of the Israel media guys tried to get him to do like a little reaction to camera, and Dylan Turns was like, please no. Just let me go on the bus.
Let me get out of here.
Yeah.
And then last, but certainly not least. Never least. Our man. Bravo, Thibaut Pinot. So I think that long-time listeners will know. At least I have something of a soft spot for Thibaut Pinot. That soft spot was slightly hardened today in watching.
Nearly full mutiny from you, which
I was just really annoyed by him today. And granted, maybe he just didn't have the legs. Maybe he just wasn't feeling that good. But he was the only rider in that front group who was riding for more than one thing. Like, he was riding for both the stage win and GC, and he was effectively, the way that he was riding for neither. He was skipping poles. He was basically just following Jorgensen around.
Even the way he was riding had a sort of aloofness about it, which just rubbed me up the wrong way.
He did move himself into 10th overall, 633 back.
Up 5 places, yeah.
Up 5 places. So, up into the top 10. Good for him. But, I mean, you could very much... He was a passenger in that sort of final 20K when they were chasing Izagirre down. And if I was Jorgensen or I was Tej Benoot, who was also putting in some pretty... exceptional efforts. Bergadou was putting in some big efforts, and you've got the guy sitting in 10th overall not pulling through when, if they'd taken a bit extra time, Pinot is now only 32 seconds behind, his own teammate, so it doesn't
he could have gone
up.
Well, he could have gone up to like 6th or 7th, I think.
It's all tightly packed in there, so if he had just put his head down and pulled, we would have had a very different scenario. And granted, that's a bit of Homer in me. I was sad for Matteo Jorgensen today, and I was watching Thibaut Pinot, a rider who has a much more extensive palmares than Jorgensen, just follow him around, and it felt a little sad.
We were standing and we were watching the finale at the Groupama FDJ bus, and when you're in someone's house, you try not to say anything rude, but we kind of wanted to.
Yeah.
Because he was not taking turns, and there were points when Jon Izagirre was 20 seconds away, 30 seconds away, and there was still 15, 20 kilometers left of the stage to go.
It was done.
And that could have been brought back if there had been a little bit more cooperation instead of just Thibaut Pinot and probably some others rolling to the front and then just pulling off.
Also, the way that Pinot zipped across to that breakaway group when they were like close to the yellow jersey group was like pretty. That was like, we were like, oh,
it was impressive.
More impressive than you were saying Alaphilippe's journeyed voyage. From groups.
Pinot and Alaphilippe tried to get across that gap at a similar point in the race. Alaphilippe had to go a little bit. The back gap was a little bit bigger at that point, but not that much bigger. And Pinot crossed it in like a minute, and Alaphilippe sat chasing potatoes in the middle of it for quite some time, which I think is indicative of, Pinot's actually in pretty good form. He is sitting in 10th overall at this Tour de France. Alaphilippe, unfortunately for the French people,
not looking good.
Doesn't have it at this point.
How close do you think Matteo Jorgensen was to shouting at Pinot, "You're not the king of France"? Because it felt like one of those days today.
Yeah. I don't think he's a particularly. I think he's a pretty calm guy.
He's not confrontational.
He's not particularly confrontational. But, man, I haven't seen a rider that bummed
really
in a while. He was just standing there. he's bummed, man. Like, kudos to him. He was still very professional. He took a whole bunch of interviews. He stopped for like 3 or 4 different television cameras. I was kind of watching him the whole time, and yeah, he just he was bummed.
Someone to root for the rest of the race.
Yep. Yeah. Well, breakaway day. That was a good one. It's good. Good bike racing.
We were saying it's one of those races that was great to watch on TV, like action throughout the race. Really engaging. But then afterwards, there's not really much to analyze, or like the Matteo Jorgensen narrative was sort of furthered, but there's not that much to chew over from the actual racing. It was just good racing, It's just good racing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what are the big angles? Sad Matteo Jorgensen, doomed Thibaut Pinot.
Yep. I mean, Jan Izagirre, good job.
Mathieu Bergadou out-sprinting Jorgensen.
Love
in
that
the
for Bergadou.
Finale. Love that we were on that train
Actually,
early.
quite a good tour for Bergadou.
Do you think this is Mathieu Bergadou as a rider who we've spoken about the most and sort of got the most lore with without ever having even spoken to the guy? Do you think by this point we've got to agree a pact to never speak to him?
I refuse to.
Is it like don't meet your heroes type of thing?
I think that there's a level of mystique to Mathieu Bergadou that as soon as you speak to him, no matter what he says, could be the most charismatic person. Kind of doubt it, but it could immediately just be punctured.
Yeah.
The closest I've come to interacting with Mathieu Bergadou was when I went on
you spoke to Julian Alaphilippe.
Was when I went on one of the in-race motorbikes at last year's tour, and Bergadou had a minutes-long chat with the driver, my motorbike driver. I've no idea what they were talking about, but they were yammering away like they were long-lost pals.
Is Mathieu Bergadou the most interesting Frenchman in this bicycle race?
Well, where's Victor Lafay gone?
Yeah.
Gone.
Dropped off the face of the earth?
Yep.
I imagine he was vacantly happy that his teammate won today.
Yeah. Dropped off the face of the earth like a 13th century empire.
He finished in 75th place today, 13:21 back.
Is he much of a climber, or is he more of a punchy?
He's punchy.
So he's done it. He's like, look, I did my job on stage 2.
Who is? I forget who did we talk to right after he won? It was Benoit, wasn't it? We talked to one of the Jumbo riders right after Victor Lafay took his stage win, and I think it was Tej Benoit, and he was basically like, yeah, we know this about him. Like, he sort of shows up randomly.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Merci.
Is that?
That's super cool.
Just got some free salami.
Here
We just got free salami.
Does she work here?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Is it safe? Is this salami safe to eat?
Is it chilled?
It's okay?
She seems real nice.
Okay.
It's delicious.
French aperitif.
Oh.
Because the French aperitif, this is the time. This is French time. French beer. French saucisson. French culture in general.
Une question. Vous habitez en Villefranche?
We work in Lyon, but we live in Villefranche right now. Yeah.
Dis-moi ce sujet au Villefranche. C'est l'histoire et the things to do around here. C'est qu'est intéressant.
We have a French speciality, a local speciality. At 11 or 20, 30, we celebrate the decade, and we do parties during all the week. And I don't know. I'm not too sure about the term in English.
Yeah.
But the word in English. But we do bal. You know bal. We're going to dance.
Oh, dance. Oh yes, yes, yeah.
Party around the big
Okay.
big city, or
Yeah.
around Villefranche in the Beaujolais.
Cool.
And
That sounds great.
we call it les conscrits. Every decade have his color, For example, for the when you have 11 years old, this is green. When you have 50 years old, this is orange. 20 years old,
okay.
this is red.
Yes.
And you have in your smoking the different,
Oh, okay.
different colors. To your
Fun.
Love it.
This
Thank
is
you
a
for
party city.
the local color.
I like that.
There we go. Villefranche.
Villefranche. I think that's enough. That's enough bike race.
Yeah.
We got a local color. We have two options here. We could either drop into our various corners. We have some corners
We do.
for and a game. 2 games actually for today. We could also just talk about tomorrow's stage a little bit. What do we want to do first?
I would like to hear about tomorrow's stage because I haven't necessarily. I'm the sort of rider that.
You don't look at the road book till the night
I
before?
don't look at the road book, no.
Yeah. Well, it is now the night before. And so we can talk about tomorrow's stage. Tomorrow's stage from Châtillon-sur-Chalaronne. Chalaronne, I think, actually, because there's two N's. To Grand Colombier. And we basically, we cross this big sort of valley in between us and the sort of ripples at the front side of the Alps, basically. And the Grand Colombier is one of the first big climbs we're going to be hitting in the next week. It is an HC climb. There is technically a small climb to get to it, the Col de la Leb, but I don't even think it's categorized. Maybe it is. Anyway, it's not that big. And then we get an exercise contest up the Grand Colombier, which is a massive climb, 17.8 kilometers at 7%. It's a nasty one. It's been used in the Tour de France a number of times recently. It's going to be pretty warm tomorrow, I think. It is relatively exposed. And I think I mentioned this in the preview podcast way back weeks ago. But the whole last few kilometers, which also kind of level out a little bit, they point straight north. And so if the wind is out of the south, southwest, southeast, you have a tailwind there. And we could see, I think, quite a bit of action out of that front GC group. If it's a headwind for that whole last stretch, I think we may see some slightly more reserved racing. Now, right at this moment, wind's out of the north. Will it be changed tomorrow when we're 100K away from here?
Wait, you know which way the wind's going?
Excuse me, Kaylee. Yes, thank you.
We're
Kaylee just said, right at this moment, just looked around in a town that he has never been to.
Also, looking at the wind. I never heard of that in my life.
And it's just like, oh yeah, wind's out of the north. What are you? Are you a compass?
Which direction is the wind blowing down the street?
Down it.
Right. Which direction is the sunset?
Could not tell you, Kaylee.
How do you, we can't see the sun.
That way.
There is no way that you can see the sun. How
Oh,
can
that
you
way.
see that?
Is this because you live in a non-built-up place that you're just in tune with nature?
Colorado, beautiful Colorado.
No, look.
You know what?
The sun is on the right-hand side of the buildings.
What is
That's
this?
west, north, south, east.
Like a
Insane.
Sherpa or something. You know what I've always said, though? They should definitely put more altitude camps up in Colorado. I've always said that.
It's probably cheaper than Tenerife. I imagine that the facilities are better.
I think
Sagan likes it.
Peter Sagan loves it.
I think when you spend a lot of time, like too much time riding a bicycle, you get quite in tune with wind direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've obviously got some work to do, Johnny.
You two have
I
some work to
clearly
do.
Never be more obvious.
I didn't feel like that was that unusual.
To just immediately know which direction the wind is blowing from.
Yeah, it's like Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, where it's like zooming in, like, oh, a little ink stain on his shirt.
Kaylee just going into his mind palace in Belfranche.
A page turned in the book on the countertop. He's a reader.
Anyway, tomorrow finishes atop the Grand Colombier. It is an ore category climb. It is going to be.
Is it a GC day?
It's going to be
You
a
think?
GC day. Oh yeah. The question
my
is
pick then.
it a GC day between the two riders that we care most about on the GC, or is it just like the two of them riding away from everybody else, and then there's big headwind, and so they just ride together?
I'd kind of like a Groupama FDJ GC battle.
It is also. Well, we have one now. They're within 30 seconds of each other.
To be fair, Devigodu's supposedly picked a fight with everyone else in Groupama FDG. There was stuff about him and Arnaud Demar not getting on, then him and Michael Storr not getting on. I think that one might have been not
Michael
true.
Storer?
He's
I
the
think
nicest kid.
The thing,
Child.
Ronan McLaughlin always sends me these like news stories on Instagram from this account, which he like sometimes gets things bang on and sometimes gets things completely wrong. So I don't want to put that out there into the universe because Michael Storr is a lovely young man.
Michael
Yeah.
Storer, the most mild man in the peloton.
When I interviewed him last year at the tour, it was just like he was so downbeat on like his chances. Like, you're at the tour, like you're obviously good, just like have some self-belief. But
Right?
yeah.
We do have. Maybe that is the most interesting thing to happen tomorrow. In fact,
Should we try and like drum this up, this narrative?
yes. Let's drum this up.
Let's start asking like some very pointed questions to both Pinot and Gaudu.
Actually, sorry. Is tomorrow a bit of a big day in France?
Oh, it
It
is.
is Bastille Day tomorrow. It is July
Holy
14th.
Oh, we are
Mo.
not going to get dinner. There is no chance of us getting dinner tomorrow.
should we like book somewhere?
I think we need to
There's nowhere nearby.
We just
We're
got to
in the
stash
mountains
some
tonight.
sweaty baguettes in the car for 6 hours in the roasting heat.
I think buy pot noodles
Ooh.
from the supermarket.
Where are we getting water from, Johnny?
The kettle in the hotel.
Oh,
Is that not good enough for you, Ian?
I'm sorry for having standards.
We were actually. I looked
Never
up to see if
apologise
there
for
was a
that.
Buffalo Grill that we could get to, but the nearest Buffalo Grill is in Chambéry, which is like an hour away.
Oh, that is too far.
Yeah.
Or is it? What about a lunchtime Buffalo Grill? That would really put the cat amongst the pigeons.
I'd like to do a buffalo grill.
We
We
need
need to do it. We tried to. We were going to do it last year and we didn't. We can't go 3 years waiting. Well, GC day tomorrow. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it will be a some kind of GC day. The question again is whether it's a Pogacar Vingegaard GC day or whether it's just the two of them dropping everyone else and sort of the 3rd through 15th reordering itself again, because it is an exceptionally difficult climb. Last time we went up it, stage 15 of the 2020 Tour de France, we had Tadej Pogacar taking the win over Primoz Roglic, although they crossed the line at the same time.
I've got, talking of when we're talking about drumming up drama at the tour, I've got a point of contention amongst this trio right here.
Ooh, boy.
Really?
Kaylee, your fantasy pick today
Yep,
was Matteo Jorgensen.
it was.
You also spoke to him before the stage and asked him about whether he was going to the break, didn't you? Was that just a weird coincidence?
That was just a strange coincidence.
Was it?
Yeah, it's just a
Okay.
really strange coincidence.
Okay. Do we have commissaires for the fantasy competition? Did you have any witnesses to see this?
I not? I mentioned the fact that I was going to pick him in the car ride over.
Yeah, but the thing is you can change your pick before it gets locked.
I will admit, speaking with him did confirm my pick. I was like, yep, going with... Because that's... All right, I'll be honest. It's the first thing I asked him. I said, for the purposes of my fantasy pick, are you going in the break today? And he said something like, I would like to.
So this is our new editorial direction for the rest of the tour. Just going up to guys who might be in the break. This is fantasy cycling at 2 speeds. Me and Ian here on bread and water, and the rest of the Escape Collective crew.
I'm just
Meanwhile-
choosing Julian Alaphilippe over here like an absolute schmuck.
Meanwhile, Kaylee's there with his information bag, just pumping them directly into his veins.
I would never in a million years have thought that choosing Julian Alaphilippe was a less safe bet than choosing Matthew Bergadu, and yet here we are.
Here we are. Do you think if Julian Alaphilippe ends up going to Total Energies next year or whenever, that he will end up riding in support of Mathieu Bergadu? Because that would be...
I wonder if there is like a lookalike clause in the contract, because there is a lot of Total Energies marketing around at service stations and stuff. Like
Yeah,
there's
we
cardboard
saw one today,
cutouts.
didn't
We
we?
saw a Pierre Latour cardboard cutout.
Not just the Pierre Latour cardboard cutout, a blurry Pierre Latour cardboard cutout, where they couldn't get him to just stay still for the photograph.
That's the thing. He's constantly in motion. He is full of energies.
You tried to feed him a coffee this morning, which is nice.
And we tagged him on Instagram, and he didn't even look at it.
No!
He saw it. What's he done? He replied.
He sent a laughing emoji back at us.
The friendship tour continues.
That is exciting.
That is
That is
exciting.
very exciting.
Oh, God.
I'm screenshotting it.
Bad for our... Bad look for us journalistically, but in terms of enjoyment of the friendship tour, the stock has never been higher.
One reason now to go to the Total Energies bus.
Yes. I think we need to find another one and feed Cardboard Pierre like a baguette or something.
That's very exciting.
That is exciting.
That's the most interaction I've ever had with Pierre Latour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He now has seen what Ian looks like. He might recognize you.
They pay pretty close attention, actually. So this is the thing that's kind of and it took me a while to figure this out, but there are way fewer of us than there are of them. Right? There's 175 riders
we
in
talk about them.
in this Tour de France.
If someone talked about you, you'd want to know what they were talking about.
Exactly. And
that's
there's
making me reconsider everything I've ever said.
and there's maybe 50 reporters that actually go to buses and actually wander around and talk to riders and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's fewer of us, and we don't talk to them that often because Pierre Latour's English is not great and our French is not great, so we don't talk to them very much. But yeah, they pay attention, and here's the other thing: we see them, helmets on, glasses on, on the bike, on the way to the start, whatever, racing. they can see out of the buses.
Yeah, I do. Every time I stand outside of a bus, I do imagine that they're just like giving me the finger, which is it's a good way to.
But I will say that we are quite heavily disguised. Like on a typical day, I have a mask on.
Yeah.
I have sunglasses on,
And a hat.
and I have a hat on, so they've got like a glimpse of forehead.
Yeah, it's true. But your hair is noticeable.
It's under the hat. It's the perfect disguise.
I think it's time to get to our corners.
Yes. Which corner do we want first? Should we have our regular
We need Maya Sabla first.
Maya Sabla corner?
And then we're going to have a game that Ian is running.
Yes, the daily. We should call it something.
Yeah.
Instead of daily bread, what about daily pain?
I don't want to make.
That is what we call pain.
Ooh, daily pain.
We need some pain.
I don't want to pretend that I made up this game either. This basically the almost exact same rules of this game are used on a couple other places.
Nothing's original anymore. It's
Yeah,
just whether
like one
people
was
have
like
heard the
there's
things
like
or
a
not.
TV show with this ages ago, and then if anybody likes the Football Ramble, they do a version of this. Anyway, I didn't make it up. Obviously.
You saying that there's nothing original anymore?
No.
That takes me back to high school, where my English teacher, trying to motivate the class, was like, "You will not have an original thought in your lives," and it stuck with me, and I haven't.
Well, speaking of high school, on the drive between the stages today, we were listening to your guys' sort of high school music, and all I was thinking about while you were running
Johnny
through all
was
these songs
very quiet.
It was just dawning on me that all the music I've ever listened to was just derivations of that music, and then that was derivations of music before it. It made me feel not great.
A big Guster Day, which was not a band that I had heard before, but apparently was big in America.
It was big in Burlington, Vermont in 2003. Among myself and my friends.
Between 30 to 40 of Kaylee's year at school went to see them in concert.
It's a high strike rate.
That's a great strike rate. And that's information that everyone needed to know.
What else did we have?
Fan,
we had
hit us up.
We had Guster. We had the format. We had. I mean, this is telling you who I was
as a 14-year-old. Is this hitting our demographic though? Probably. This is probably hitting our demographic. This sort of conversation.
Oh, absolutely! I guarantee you that there's going to be a number of listeners out there who
we got Gust heads
in 2003 were as into Guster or hated it the other direction.
Yeah.
Or if they were in Australia, had never even heard of them.
Do you think this is going to replace our previously most popular segment of the podcast when we talked about the different names for popsicles? I can't remember the other dumb one.
Yeah, that went
Icy
down very
Pops?
well.
What was the
Icy Poles?
Icy Poles.
Someone on our Discord
Yes.
made a very good comment. If you catch Michael Kwiatkowski on a bad day, he is an icy pole.
Maya Sabla. Should we bring it back to something at least tangentially relevant?
Let's do Maya Sabla.
Right. Today, the Maya Sabla is in 44th place, so we are inching further up the general classification with a time of 1 hour, 0 minutes and 23 seconds. Is it your go first today, Kaylee, or
No,
is
I
it
went
Ian?
first yesterday, I think.
Ian's go first. Okay.
Right? Because I got it wrong, you got it wrong, I got it right. Yeah.
Okay, today...
It's 3-2 right now, right?
No, it's 3-all.
3-all?
I think it's 3-all and I've got 1.
I think you're right.
Don't know how that works.
Yep.
But so Ian, you can have team, nationality, or I will give you a hint.
I will have team.
Lotto Disney.
I think because he was close to it before and then dropped out of it, and then was in the breakaway today, which is something that I've just learned. I am on the Victor Campenaerts train.
Ian,
he had it before. Did he lose it and retake
he's
it?
retaken it.
Yes.
Despite Ian being like kind of ill at the minute, he seems to have become fluent in French today because he just understood our way to describing what was on offer at the restaurant perfectly. And then now he's sort of just knowing who the Maya Sabla is.
Galaxy-brained Victor Campenaerts into the Maya Sabla.
Victor Campenaerts back in the Maya Sabla. A rider I don't think would go along with it, even though he's a fan of the hour record.
Yeah, I was
great irony of the competition.
I was standing in front of him at the start in Clermont-Ferrand the other day, and I considered explaining it to him, and then I didn't, because I was like, I don't think he's gonna.
The problem is with this with this classification, if you approach the wrong person, like some people will take it as a badge of honor, but for some people, you telling them that they are a full hour off the pace will be kind of like telling them that they're kind of a bit shit.
There are a few riders hovering around who, if things work out well, I mean, they're going to lose more time.
I actually had a sneaky feeling about Dylan Toynes.
Well, so tomorrow, everybody that's not named Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar is going to lose minutes to an hour.
We're going to get a shunting.
No, not an hour, because there's only one climb at the end. But there's going to be a big shift tomorrow.
Yeah.
Somebody that's 15 minutes away from it right now is going to be in it tomorrow.
We will almost definitely have a different Mayo Sabra tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. But congrats to Victor for fighting back.
2-time Mayo Sabra wearer this tour. No one else has that achievement.
Nope, that's really impressive. Should we play our game?
Yeah, I'm the
Your quiz master.
Game master?
The pain master.
The pain master of this game. And what I am choosing today with the
should we explain the pain thing?
I did briefly,
we?
but then...
Yeah, okay. So in France, the word for bread is pain, which is spelt pain. And
P-A-I-N,
when you're driving through French towns and go past a bakery, they just have on the outside of the bakery in enormous letters, pain.
It's good. It is really good.
So you'll just drive along and you'll just see a sign that says pain and you'll be like, yeah, I feel that. I understand where you're coming from. I am in the same place. So we just, like this morning, for instance, in beautiful Clermont-Ferrand, a town that I profoundly miss, which is not something I thought I'd say 4 days ago.
We disparaged this town, and then we loved it. We loved it.
I actually felt like I'd been torn away from a second home when we left Clermont-Ferrand. Anyway, so this morning I just said to the boys, I'm just going to go get some pain. And they're like, okay. So I went and got some pain, came back with the pain, and then as we drove past it on the way out, I said, there is the source of so much pain.
I also asked for chocolate pain, and I got chocolate pain.
Yeah. Anyway, so I am the pain master today.
Yeah.
And the game of pain that I have, this is confusing actually, because this game is not relevant to bread.
It doesn't matter.
And we've just dragged the listener into a side tangent.
Yeah.
A pain-related side tangent, which I think it's quite on brand for us, to be honest. So my game today, we have a rotating cast. Loser buys the beer and has to be the game master the next night, which is why
I'm one-time champion.
Which is why I am 17 euro poorer.
Yeah.
So today, I would like you fellas to tell me who are the top 20 riders in the Tour de France 2023 who have spent the most kilometers in the break.
Oof.
Challenger goes first.
Wait, but I won last night.
No, I won last night. You were the pain master last night.
I think we agreed that
right.
I lost last night.
Sorry?
We can agree that I lost last night.
You lost last night. Okay. So name all the riders. We have 20 of them that are in the top 20.
I mean, there are more than... Well, sorry,
Yeah.
yes, there are 20 in the top 20.
Yes.
Well done, Caitlin.
Really good at knowing where the sun sets, and less good at basic arithmetic.
And we go back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was your game.
Nielsen Palace.
Yes, in number 1, Nielsen Palace.
Julian Alaphilippe.
Yes,
Oh.
in 11th.
Matthew Bergadou.
Yeah,
Bergadou.
that's good. 14th.
Andre Amador.
Yes, 15th.
Why am I going for deep cuts this early on?
Matteo Jorgensen.
Yes, in 3rd.
Mads Pedersen.
Johnny, you made a mess of that one, mate.
Is he even on the list?
I mean, it's somewhere on the list. There's
been in one
166 riders left in the race.
Oh,
Campenaerts.
of course.
Yeah.
I should have gone Wout van Aert.
Wout van Aert.
Is he on the list?
Wout van Aert is... Campenaerts is.
Mathis Lavelle.
Chris Nealance.
No, you've lost, Johnny. You've
I know,
lost.
but no, I'm just...
Chris
I have the
Nealance.
Chris
knowledge.
Nealance, yes. Who else? Now we're just naming people. And hoping that...
James Shaw.
No?
Oh, he's only one day.
You're missing Jonas Gregor.
Oh, yeah.
He's an Uno X-boy.
Johansson.
Simon Guglielmi.
Oh, of course,
Guglielmu.
Johannesson.
Johansen, 17th.
Give us a top 5.
Top 5, Paulus, Gregor, Jorgensen, Guglielmi, Chris Nealens.
I'll panic there.
All right.
No bottle.
I get a point. Johnny's
Get
on
a
tomorrow.
point, and I've got to buy the beers.
Yep.
I hope I don't have to pay for the snacks too. I hope they were gratis. Cool. Well, then I'm Quizmaster tomorrow.
I'm excited to get my nose back in the game.
We should head over to José Been, who, as you may have been able to guess already, is going to be giving us the lowdown on the 14th of July, Bastille Day. So let's talk revolution.
Tomorrow is 14 July. The 14th of July, or 14 Juillet, is the most important national holiday of France. The festivities are everywhere, from the smallest towns to the biggest cities. Grand spectacle extraordinaire. Let's go back in time for some old-fashioned revolution to explain what the 14 Juillet actually is. We're talking about the end of the 18th century. France had a class society of clergy, nobility, bourgeoisie, and peasants. The nobility made up less than 2% of the population and the clergy around 1%. These estates paid no taxes and had a lot of power, especially the clergy. About 97% of the population belonged to the peasantry and the bourgeoisie, or merchant class, with peasants being the largest group by far. They worked the lands of the noblemen, had to cough up all the taxes, but had nothing to say politically. Not only the peasants and the bourgeoisie were unhappy at the end of the 18th century, can you blame them? The nobility was also dissatisfied from halfway into that 18th century. Under King Louis XV, they lost several of their noble privileges as the monarch tried to distribute taxes more fairly. In itself, a great idea, but the nobility blocks all attempts at tax reform. Yes, it happens in all ages. Back to 1789 and the start of the French Revolution on that 14th of July. The king, Louis XVI by now, and his wife, Marie Antoinette, were not popular, to put it mildly. They spent a lot of tax money on palaces, pensions, wars, loans, and luxuries. Marie Antoinette, for example, had bought herself one luxurious farmhouse and had incurred a lot of gambling debts. But as the king was appointed and anointed by God, who could say he was wrong? His power was considered absolute and unchallenged, but that was about to change. The new age of enlightenment, where people were encouraged to think for themselves outside of the strict boundaries of religion, several very expensive wars fought by the French king, leaving the state almost bankrupt, the church's enormous wealth and the peasants' poverty, plus a disastrous harvest in 1788, led to a perfect storm and fertile grounds for revolution. It's the 14th of July, 1789, in Paris. About 20,000 Parisians headed for La Bastille, which was the most important prison in town. It was the symbol of the French Ancien Régime, the old ruling class. The protesters were aiming to loot the ammunition depot in the basement. The storming of the Bastille was one of the first major acts of violence of the French Revolution. It is considered to be the start of the revolution, marked by major uprisings of the French people against the absolute power of King Louis XVI. The capture of the prison was a sign to the population that the monarchy's rule and oppression were over and that they could seize power. Fun fact, at the time of the storming of the Bastille, there were only 7 prisoners there, which did not make the event any less meaningful. It was a symbolic start to change. This period in French history, comprising of many years of revolution, oppression and terror, and new revolution, is too complicated to explain in a few words. Some key moments though. It started on that 14th of July 1789, and in 1792 the monarchy was abolished. A year later, Louis XVI was decapitated by guillotine, as was his wife Marie Antoinette. By July 1793, the French Revolution was in crisis. The economy was in shambles and the country was beset by internal and external enemies. In the face of this crisis, the new regime turned to terror as a way to consolidate its power and silence its opponents. Also very familiar in modern times. But this phase also ended, and in November of 1799, Napoleon Bonaparte seized power via a coup d'etat. The coup marked the end of the revolution because France goes back to absolute power again, but now with the later crowned Emperor Napoleon.
All right, gentlemen. That's it. That's it from us tonight from Villefranche. Thanks to our hosts here at the Bar La Nat Cocktails. You gave us many weird looks, but you also gave us free charcuterie. We think. Maybe we'll pay for it. Unclear. Lovely little town. Great light. Good light in this town.
From the west.
Yes.
Good light from the west.
That is where the sun sets.
See, I knew that one.
We'll be back tomorrow from whatever we figure out in terms of logistics. Whatever we figure out tomorrow, we'll be back with another episode of the Escape Collective Tour Daily. As a reminder,
Oh, yeah.
we forgot to do the sign-up thing in the beginning.
But if you've got to this far into the podcast and you're not signed up, then you really
Come
are
on.
rinsing us for everything we're worth.
Right?
And honestly,
Thank you for listening. Thank you for those of you who have
And
joined.
sign
Head over
up.
to escapecollective.com/join. All right, we're out of here. We're going to go find our hotel, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
au revoir.
Ça va?
À demain.